When I was growing up, I just knew I wanted to help people. I was very active in my church. And my stepmom really influenced me to be a pharmacist. So I went to pharmacy school. I wanted to help people and change the world. And soon after that, I realized I was like a glorified McDonald's and it wasn't really as fulfilling as I thought it would be. I've just changed course recently and got more involved in real estate, trying to get like financial freedom. And while I was doing that, I realized I find it really fulfilling when I'm able to help people that are less fortunate who don't really have the opportunities that I always had growing up.
Welcome back to the Art of Connecting podcast. Today we have a very special guest again with us, as we have every episode. We have Lauren Schreiber here with us today, and me and Lauren, this is a common story, and I'm sorry if you get tired of hearing this, but I promise every guest is different. Me and Lauren met through the Action Academy group, and we went to Costa Rica together. And Lauren was one of my favorite people I got to hang out with. Sorry for everyone else that I hung out with, but we had a ton of fun together, really got to know each other well. And Lauren has one of the coolest projects I know of in real estate going on right now. And so I wanted her to share her story with you guys and share some of the connections that brought her to where she is. So, Lauren, how are you today?
All right, Hayden, you're way too nice. I'm doing really great, just getting ready for Christmas. And yeah, I'm really fortunate to come on the show today. Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. So we'll go ahead and get rolling into this episode. First off, can you maybe share a little bit about who you are and your background and all that kind of fun stuff that you do with the podcast?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I originally grew up in a cornfield outside of Chicago. And when I was growing up, I just knew I wanted to help people. I was very active in my church. And my stepmom really influenced me to be a pharmacist. So I went to pharmacy school. I wanted to help people and change the world. And soon after that, I realized I was like a glorified McDonald's and it wasn't really as fulfilling as I thought it would be. I've just changed course recently and got more involved in real estate, trying to get like financial freedom. And while I was doing that, I realized I find it really fulfilling when I'm able to help people that are less fortunate who don't really have the opportunities that I always had growing up. We moved to Tennessee recently, and one of our tenants was just, I don't know, she was really down on her luck, and she actually waited for our place for 2 months. And I don't know about you, but I've never waited for an apartment for 2 months. And she told us that this was because she had a background and she wasn't really able to get a place anywhere else. No one would take her. So after talking to her for a while, I realized that like something she did in her past just really, I don't know, it sucks. Like it just really weighed her down and she wasn't able to really get out of it. We decided that we wanted to help more with Section 8 people and to uplift people that really couldn't do it for themselves. And so now we're finding ourselves just doing tiny home communities. So right now we're just looking to find land and we're going to build these homes and make them affordable for people and then also support them with a community to really give them the support and care that they need to, I don't know, live their best lives.
Tell me what your mission is, because this is something you've said many times, and I think would be every time you go to a real estate meetup, people start clapping when you say this. You know what I'm talking about.
Goodness. What do I say? Essentially, we want to provide affordable housing and just create a sense of belonging to help end the cycle of poverty and to give people hope. Our nonprofit that we started is Heidi's House of Hope. And we named it after our dog that passed away, but she always brought so much light to everybody. And I swear I wouldn't have even been with my husband if it wasn't for her. But yeah, we really just want to give people the opportunity to really better their lives and the support that they need.
So I want to dig a little deeper into this. So can you tell me about some of the struggles you've had with trying to start a tiny home community?
What struggles haven't we had? So the big thing is picking out what population we want to serve. A lot of people have a lot of negative thoughts about low income or Section 8. And so we've decided to target a different group as far as like first time home buyers that people can get on board with, and also veterans is who we're going to be targeting to start off. Some problems we've had is just misconceptions with tiny homes. Like, we don't want to have them on wheels, we want them on a permanent foundation. And a lot of people were just like, oh no, they look trashy, and we're like, no, they're going to be homes on a permanent foundation, they're just smaller, so your bills are lower, the cost to build them is cheaper. And a lot of it is just zoning has been the worst, but also the best learning process I've ever had. I can tell you anything about zoning now, but I would say probably the biggest struggle that we've had is just like finding something that's affordable to build on so that we can also provide affordable housing. All the numbers are having to line up, and that's been difficult, but not impossible. And we have a grant writer right now who's writing for us. I tried to do the grant writing and I was, no, not going to happen. So we hired that out. That's the who, not how. And right now we're just trying to find people on our team to connect with and just really get good people who are way smarter than me on board so that we can move this project along and help the community.
So how did you meet your grant writer?
I actually put an offer on Upwork and I interviewed probably about 5 or 6 people. And this one was funny because I really didn't get a great impression from her profile. Like, her picture wasn't professional. Like, she just wrote me like a couple lines that she's, I think I could help. I've won grants before. And everybody else that kind of applied was seemed way more qualified. And it wasn't until I talked to her in person and she heard my heart on things and I heard her heart that we realized that we would be like a perfect match. And she's, I really just want to see this project get funded and to help the community. Like, I can see your passion for it and you have something that nobody's really doing in your area. So let's get that money for it. And so that
Mm.
was really cool because everybody else I interviewed, I was just not connected to, didn't get the vision. Yeah.
And so what does that process look like of getting grants? What kind of grants are you applying for?
I'm not gonna apply for them. But yeah, so right now we can do like a rural land one because where we're looking is rural. We can do ones because we are getting our churches involved and they're gonna help their youth group help us to build the homes. So there's grants to help fund the youth to help build them. There's grants for low income housing. There's grants for first time home buyers, for veterans. There, anything you could think of. There's even grants to help build trails, and which part of our community we want to have walking and biking trails. And yeah, there's grants for everything pretty much. So whatever you want to get money for, the government has it. It's just a matter of applying for it and convincing them that your project is going to go through. And solar power too. We're applying for those as well.
So when I'm thinking about a development project, I don't really think about, oh, what grants can we get from this? How did you come up with the idea for the grants?
I haven't done a lot of capital raising at all, but I knew I was going to have to raise capital for this. With all my rentals, I've paid for them myself. I've never included anybody. And I realized that this project was going to need a lot more money that I wouldn't be able to come up with by myself. And we wanted to give people a good return, but we were also doing something really great for the community. So the thought just was maybe we could get money from the government. So yeah, just thought about it. And then when I started to try to apply, I realized I was not ready for this and I needed to find somebody to get on our team that could be more efficient and spend their time more wisely doing that than I could.
Mm. And you mentioned a team several times. What is that? Obviously, this is something that probably be too big for any one person to take on. What does that team look like so far?
Yeah, so right now we have a few different contractors who want to partner with us to get the buildings to actually build the tiny homes. And it's really cool to see because the other day I just sent out an email asking about solar paneling and like what the cost would be to see if that's something that we can realistically do. And one of the home builders, the company that had the solar panels also builds homes in the area, and they're like, we checked out your website and we really would like to help you. I think we can help it. It's an undeserved need here and nobody's really doing anything about it, and they're not building good quality homes here. They're all just like really cheap. So we're getting that person on board too. Right now, I'm currently looking for a lawyer who needs to do some charitable work. And we're also looking for a tax person. I've interviewed a couple different tax people, and that one's been a challenge because I feel like I know more than they do on certain things, which is weird. The other people on our team, obviously the grant writer, and then we have a lot of the local churches who are waiting and willing to help as much as they can as well. But we're still waiting for a lot more people to join our team. It's just a matter of finding the people that have the same morals and values as us and would be a good fit for something that we can already do.
So I've seen you in person at now probably 5 or 6 different meetups. Can you tell me a little bit about what impact going to in-person meetups has had?
It's a game changer, obviously. I think when you talk to people on the phone, you only get to know a piece of them, but when you actually see them interacting with people, it has such a bigger impact. I know personally, like, I get very nervous meeting new people, and, like, when I met you in Cabo, I was really nervous to meet you, by the way. I don't know why. I just think you asked so many questions on all of our calls, and you just seemed very intimidating at first, so I was very nervous to meet you. But then when you realize that people just want to do good things, and the meetups really help you to read people and see what they're about, if there's somebody that you would want to partner with or not, and you can just hear their heart on different things and how they can help you get to your goals as well.
Hmm. And I know that I know I've seen it myself being at places where you are also, there's just an excitement for what you're doing. I know at the first Knoxville meetup you went to, there were like 5 people that came up and talked and wanted to know more info and to see how they can help. And I feel, and I want you to chime in on this. I feel like when you have a mission bigger than yourself, when people hear about it, and especially when they see you in person, they just jump on board to help any way they can.
Yeah, I think the first thing is just like tiny homes. It's super interesting and it's the forbidden fruit because there's so many regulations against it. So people are like, "Oh, how are you going to do that?" But I've had so many connections from those meetups where they're like, "Hey, I know somebody who's doing something similar," or "Hey, I know somebody that can help you fund this." And it's been super impactful because at first everyone's, "Oh, are you just in this to make some money and you're just saying it's for affordable housing? What are your motives?" And then after talking to us for a little bit, they realize like, "No, she could make money being a pharmacist if she wanted to. It's not really, I live a very comfortable life and I don't really need to make a ton of money from this. I just want to be able to make an impact because I find that
Mm.
way more rewarding." I think that shows through every time we're at those meetups because people just know, yeah, she's a genuine person. She cares.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, uh, when you first started this project, who was the first person that you called besides
Huh.
your husband?
I think the first, like where it took shape was actually a mindset coach, one of Joe's that I was talking to, and he was just talking to me about it. And what would you want it to look like in 5 years? And I was like, I just see a place where people have a second chance and a place where they can put their past behind them and really just go for their goals. And they have housing and they're educated from like the program that we set up. And so he was the first person I really talked to about it. And he just kept asking the right questions. I feel like sometimes we don't really ask the right questions. And then when you start thinking about it, you're like, okay, this is what I want it to look like. This is the impact I want to have. And that was a really good conversation that I had, and it lit the fire and made me start thinking more, um, and just putting it all on paper.
So, what has your experience been with coaching?
I've done it a couple times. That's probably my coach I had a couple bad experiences with after. He's since been fired, I don't know, but maybe edit this part out and cancel. But yeah, no, it's been good, but I haven't found a coach that I've felt has matched as far as my morals and values and also been able to push me the way I want. So I'm in the market for a coach. So if anybody's got one, by all means, I'm ready for it.
It's been a struggle for me too, because I'm looking for a coach as well. And that same thing, you want someone that shares your moral and moral and other things.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's really easy to be pushed in the wrong direction. Because all a coach really is someone getting behind you and pushing.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a new relationship at the end of the
Mhm.
day. Because and the hardest part is, as I'm looking for a coach, I'm like, I don't wanna like them, because if I like my coach, we're gonna be buddy, and then it's not gonna be like them pushing me, so I'm like, I feel like your coach needs to get under your skin a little bit so that you get motivated.
Like
So that's
that.
the hard part, but
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it's,
and I definitely need one that kind of shares my values as far as I want them to be a Christian and understand that perspective of it. And also I don't know. It's been interesting because if they're not a Christian, they aren't gonna understand my motives for that, or maybe they would,
mm.
but in my past experiences, I don't see them seeing why I'm doing things for a certain reason, so
I've had similar experiences as well. When you're a kingdom builder, it doesn't really make much sense to a lot of people why you would not take every penny that you can, especially like when that's all they're used to. Not calling anyone out here specifically. There are several people that have helped me in coaching, and whether they're a Christ follower or whether they're not, like it's
yeah.
I've gotten so much helpful things out of it. But it can be a little tough to describe someone, especially a coach, like, I'm not into this for today. This is today's work, but like to look at things in a longer span, just in general. If I can look 10 years ahead, I would much rather operate at that level and be thinking about future, which some coaches really get and push, and some are like, "No, you need to be doing this today and this." And I'm like, "Ah." But yeah, it's tough because also those people are way more experienced in life than you and in business. So, yeah, it's a
I
tough
get it.
one.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why I think we're part of Action Academy too, is just that really has helped seeing a lot of different perspectives and being able to connect with a bunch of different people from different backgrounds, different parts of life. It's been super helpful.
Yeah, and I think it also gives you, like, the role models that there's always certain people in the group that you can look up to, which I love, and just see, man, they are living such a cool freaking life, and that community has been, like, hugely pivotal for me, and I'd imagine for you too.
Yeah. No, for sure. I have really enjoyed meeting everybody in the group. Most of my friends back home, they don't have that kind of mindset to go higher or to do things for other people, or it's very much okay, go to work, get married, have a family, and you lived your life. And it's nice to be around like-minded people who can give you that little extra push and be like, no, there's actually some more you could do with your life. And you need to expand it and get on a different level. So I've really enjoyed that.
That's awesome. So you had this idea that came from a coaching session. Someone pushed you to really visualize what this is. You now know you want to develop a tiny home community. What's the next step? You have no development experience. You've never built a subdivision before. What's that next step look like?
Finding smarter people than me. No,
Dive into that. Who were you looking for when you
I've,
when you first decided that you want to do this?
yeah, first off, it was contractors just to see what we could do with the house and about how much that would cost. And then it was finding people who could bring utilities in and how much that would cost. And I think now it's really just finding people who can jump on board and give me different ideas and different perspectives on it. The next step is finding land. Like I've put out probably about 15 LOIs on land. It's tricky because everything's overpriced, like in the city. But recently, I had a meeting with the mayor in Bluff City, and it was a really good meeting. He's very forward thinking, and we're on the outskirts of a big town in the area, and we want to grow more and be a place that's very innovative. And so he's all about the tiny homes. I'm down for it. Let's go. And so we found this piece of land. It seems almost too good to be true. It needs to be rezoned, but I talked with the mayor who's also on the board of zoning. And we'll get that done in a month. It's fine. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So, yeah, we put in an LOI for that piece of land, waiting to hear back from them. And that's our next move. I would like to, in the meantime, find smaller parcels of land and put a couple homes up and have that as more of, if somebody needs immediate housing, they can go to those homes and be able to rent them for a reasonable price. That's on the back burner right now, but if a piece of land comes up that will work for that, I'm all about it. So if anybody has a small piece of land that they want to do that with, we can come build it. Let's go.
And also something that this is my connector brain here. There's several people that do land flipping in Action Academy. So maybe you could reach out to a few of those people, see if they can start marketing in your area, and then you
Oh,
can get a land for 50% off.
yeah, no, I actually reached out to a couple people in the group and they were very helpful. I still have to go through the email. It was like this long and I'm like, okay, this is going to take me a little bit to get through. So they've been super helpful though.
That's awesome. And I think this is great for the art of connecting here. Eh, A lot of people that haven't really been in the realm of being an investor or really just being active in your community from a political side, you would think it would be so hard to get a meeting with the mayor if you want to go and do something, but they sit at their desk half the day like everyone else. So if you just send the mayor's office an email and say, "Hey, I'd love to have a meeting. I've got this thing going on. This is the agenda for the meeting." You'll probably get a meeting with them. It's their job. They're civil servants. I think that's such a great example, especially like if the pasture isn't green in your little neck of the woods, you can go into someone else's woods and talk to the leader over there in that tribe, and they may be all aboard for what you have. And um, some people
Yeah.
are really narrow-minded, and some people are really open-minded, and you just have to find those people that are open-minded and willing. You can riff off of that.
Yeah, I've had a lot of interesting conversations. I actually I didn't even ask the mayor for a meeting, which was funny. I gave the office a call because I was asking about zoning on something and seeing if this parcel of land could possibly be the one and if it could be possible. And after talking to him and asking him a few questions, they're like, "Hang on one second. The mayor wants to talk to you." I'm like, okay, sounds good. And he was like, I think you need to come in. We should talk about this more. So it was super random because some towns that I had to call, like, they don't have anything online. It's insane to me that they do not have it all digital for you to look at. And so I had to call for every piece of land in one of these counties. And when I asked about, oh, could you put a smaller home? And they're like, are you talking tiny home? No, there's lots of stipulations with that. So it's very interesting how certain counties are very open to it, other people are absolutely not, and it's wording it in a way that is appealing to whoever you're talking to. That's why we've gone with affordable housing for micro home communities when it really is just a tiny home.
And I think we can also glean something from Ted's TED Talk that he did in Nashville of everything is a little bit moldable if you have the right connections.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, you could be in a community where tiny homes are completely banned, and you could never do that, but then if you have the right connection with the right 2 or 3 people that are on the boards for the certain thing, or everything is a little bit moldable, so maybe it's you need to make your homes 501 square feet.
Yeah.
Still a tiny home, but
Yep.
you have to make it a certain number of, or maybe it's 800 square feet, whatever it may look like. but you're like, okay, I can run with that. I can make
Mhm.
that work. But it takes being in the right place and building those relationships because you're not just going to get it on a phone call. Sometimes it's playing golf or being in the right box at a football game to get those things.
Exactly, and I think it's definitely being likable. I don't think people realize how much of a difference you can have with somebody if they like you. My husband and I are very good at being super kind to people and having good intentions and also trying to see what they need. So, for instance, with the mayor, I was like, what do you need for the city? Because, like, I can build tiny homes, and our vision was to do it for first time home buyers and for veterans. But what do you need in Bluff City? And he was like, we need housing for young professionals too. So, the first time home buyers would work out great. And I think when you connect with people, looking to serve them is can have such a huge impact, and when they see that, they wanna help you too, and we always try everybody we talk to, we're like, "How can we pay you really well to build these homes for us? Like, we promise to give you the work and pay you higher than anybody else will, but still making it affordable," and I think leading with that has been very helpful for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it goes back to all of the podcasts we've listened to 100 times of like lead with value first. And then
Mhm.
I like the analogy now, and I improve every podcast because I'm continually reading new books and seeing new perspectives and meeting new people. And I'm in a recent mentality of chase helping others and the money will chase you. If and chase solving problems and the money will chase you because it's just, with relationships, if you're trying to chase somebody, they're probably gonna run away.
Yeah. And a lot of people have said to me, "Oh, that won't work because that's a problem." And I'm like, "I don't know. I always see if there's more problems, there's more opportunity if you can figure out how to solve them." And I love solving problems. I did that a lot when I was a pharmacy manager, and I'm very results driven. So having those kind of problems, I'm like, "Bring it on. Let's go. I'll figure it out."
Yeah. And so I would love to hear about maybe some of the connections that you've made, and you can name them or you can just not name them if you want, that have really helped you get to the next step. Because really, all this game is that I've seen in development is, all right, we start with this step, and then this step, and then this step, and there's 100,000 of them it seems. But who are some people who have really helped you through that?
Um, I would say the first time I introduced it to the real estate meetup in Knoxville, somebody had come up to me and asked if we were a nonprofit or for profit. And I hadn't even thought about it really. So that person was pretty important because it got me thinking like, okay, how do we want to actually structure the business? And we decided that we're going to partner with the contractors and have the home building company that will funnel back into the nonprofit of the tiny homes. And so that person was it was good to talk to because it really did just make me think, okay, how do we want to structure things? And then another person I met at the Knoxville meetup, they had a connection with somebody who's actually doing kind of the same thing in Knoxville. And so she got me in contact with her, and we've had probably 4 calls, and she's, this is what you have to do for this. And we got coffee when she was in town, and she actually has some pretty big hitters here in our area, and she's willing to have them help us as well. So that's been pretty big. Just having somebody else in our corner that has already done it and knows how to help. I don't know. There's so many people that have been along the way, even just small conversations. Like I've had a couple calls with banks and how they could help fund the tiny homes for us once we get the land, and just seeing how we can structure that to be serving our community in the best way possible has been really enlightening. Yeah, there's too many people to let me tell you.
It's amazing. But there was some things in common that the meetup, several people came from that. And
Mhm.
man, that's a powerful statement there to say that like multiple people came out of that. It's just I'm obsessed with hitting on the value of the in person. So
Yeah.
I love hearing that. It just you're driving home my business model of my new business.
No worries, I got you. Like, even when we were in Nashville for our meetup or whatever, It was super cool to chat with people there in person and obviously play paintball and shoot each other. That was super impactful.
That was so much
Um,
fun.
oh my goodness. I don't know if you saw our comments between me and Ben and the Bens, I should say, about playing paintball again, but I'm ready for it. Let's go.
We need to find out if we can do paintball in Cabo. That would be really fun.
We need to have another meetup, probably do Atlanta or something. I'm ready for
Mhm.
it.
Or
Let's go.
Chattanooga. Who knows?
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we can find out. So, I would love to talk about something besides the subdivision meetup, or this not the sub the sub the
I
tiny
think I
home community. So, let's talk about, like, how you even really got into real estate in the first place, because I know you've told me a little bit. We've had lots of conversations about how you were raised and everything. So, tell me about how you first started to learn about real estate and say, "This is something that I wanna look into."
it honestly wasn't until I moved to Colorado and I was just fed up with how expensive rent was. And so I started looking at possibly buying. And I think I stumbled upon Bigger Pockets. And so I just started listening to that religiously. And I just realized I didn't want to work forever and I needed some other form of income. Me and my husband just bought like a random property that was actually here in Tennessee while we were living in Colorado. And we bought it for 140K and then rented it out for a year or two. And then we sold it for 210. And I was like, this is where it's at. Like, I like making cashing that check was freaking awesome. And the fact that it would take me how many hours to work to get that, I
Would've
was
been a whole
sold.
about a
Oh my
year,
goodness. I was
like a
sold.
year. Yeah.
Sold. Let's do
Wow.
it. And so we started looking at more rentals and I think it was after I joined Action Academy, we were like, let's buy. I put it as my goal to buy a multifamily. And when you set a deadline, you're just like, okay, I gotta start hunting because there was nothing available that looked like it would work. And again, there's lots of problems with this one listing I saw, and everyone told me, oh, the owner will not split up his portfolio. He had 10 different properties and I saw two of them were next to each other and they were both triplexes. I'm like, I just want the triplexes. That's all I can afford. And they're like, oh, he won't do that. He won't do that. So I was like, well, send the offer anyway. And and then he said yes. So I think just presenting that to people, a lot of times they'll say no. And when they're like, oh, that sounds nice. That sounds like some good money. Let's do it. So that was my next step that we did. And currently we have 7 doors and then the home that we live in now. And I think we're going to put a tiny home in our backyard too.
ADU, maybe that can be the first proof of concept.
Yep, exactly.
It's awesome. And so, w Bigger Pockets sounds like it was a big driver, and it's funny how common that story is. I was talking with a guy that works for Brandon, is it
Brandon Turner
Brandon Turner? Wow.
in Hawaii,
If
right?
Brandon's listening to this, just I'm sorry, buddy. Just forgot your name. No, but he listened to Bigger Pockets when Brandon Turner was still on there. He was a police officer, and so he played all the time.
Mm.
And now he works for Brandon in Open Door Capital and helps them sling mobile home parks all across the country. It's just so cool because you never that's why I like doing this podcast because who knows who's listening. I don't know. Not a whole ton of people right now, but if I can have that impact, that would just be so freaking cool. I can't
Oh, yeah.
imagine how awesome it is for Brandon to wake up every day and all the other guys at Bigger Pockets and just see the results of their hard work.
Yeah, no, I constantly think about that once we have our community built. Can you imagine just walking out of your tiny home and seeing all the people that are housed because of you? And that's what keeps us going too, is just think of the impact that you're going to have on these people's lives. It's
Mhm.
incredibly huge. And that's my main motivator. Give me money too, but that's not as rewarding for sure.
Yeah. Wow, that gives me the chills a little bit thinking about it. It's just really cool to think about how amazing our minds are and how blessed we are to be able to have this idea. And if you work hard enough at it and you stay consistent and do the things,
Mhm.
the results, we can see them. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
No, for sure. And just FYI, Brandon Turner did like my story once. Yeah, he did. Are you jealous?
He just might listen to this because we have you on here. I think we
Oh,
might get lucky.
100%. I can already see it.
I wanna have him come speak on a meetup sometime. So it's a I do have so this is a fun little topic we can talk about is, like, your spear that you have around you. So
Mhm.
I'm 2 not even I'm, like, 1 person away from Brandon Turner. Like, my friend spends a few weeks a year with Brandon, and I
Okay.
also have another friend who also goes and hangs out with them in Hawaii with their kids, and their kids are friends. So, like, I really have 2 people that are directly, like, directly there. And so, it's this interesting concept to me to think about how in the whole world, you're pretty much 5 people away from anyone. I
Mhm.
think I'm probably about 3 to 4 people away from the president. And it's crazy because I was reading this book. I can't remember who it was by. It was either Never Split the Difference or Atomic Habits. I can't remember. It was an audiobook I was listening to while I was on the road. And it was going through this exercise where they did this study and they said, get this letter to this person in this office. And you have to get it there through your connections. So people would send the letters to the people they knew. And there was like this one guy that got 20 of the letters. And because he was connected to so many people all around the country, people knew he was in that area and he was well connected. And so he got 20 of these letters.
Oh, that's
And it was just really crazy to think about how there's those people in your life that so many people are connected to. And
mhm.
if you can connect to them, there's anything is possible.
Yeah. You're like one connection away from making an even bigger impact.
Yeah.
It's
Because
it's definitely cool to think about.
it's all levels too. I'm sure how many homes are you looking to put in your community, like, approximately?
50 plus.
So, for you, I'm sure that seems like a huge deal, right? And it is a massive deal. But for someone else, that might be like, "Oh, that's too small."
Yeah.
We can't even look at that because we're doing 1,500 plus or 3,000 plus.
Yeah.
And if you can get those people on your side to just pass down, like, a little nugget of information, it's like, for them, it's nothing, but for you, it's everything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's why it's so important. Like my Brett kind of makes fun of everybody that I talk to. You have so many conversations with everybody. I'm like, yeah, because you never know. They might know somebody that knows somebody, and who knows? And half the calls and meetups and stuff that I go to, was that a waste of time? I'm like, nope. Guess who I met? And he's, oh, now we have this person on our team. Pretty cool. So it's always worth talking to people and investing in others. It's always worth your time.
I concur. Yeah, it's my most happy moments are when I get off a phone call. Like this morning, I was talking with Ryan. He's in Action Academy and he's in Malaysia right now and quit his job a year ago and traveled the world. And we were only supposed to talk for 30 minutes and we went for like an hour and 10 minutes. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's 10 o'clock here. I'm about to go to bed. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I could just talk forever. And those are like, but that's what it's about, right? Is just getting to know more people. And, you know, we all have such interesting stories, you
No,
included.
you can learn so much from people. And no, I'm just pushing your point home. Like, just keep connecting. It's all about the art of connecting.
That thank you. That I just was trying to get you to say the art of connecting. That was a trick
You're
there.
welcome. I got you.
All right. So we're coming up on close to 45 minutes here. Just to tell you guys too, Lauren was super nervous to come on this podcast. She's been blowing up my phone like, I've never been on a podcast before. I'm so stressed out. And you rocked it.
I'm still
You can
stressed.
you can say it. I rocked it. Like, how natural does this feel? It's just a conversation, right?
I'm still shaking.
Either way, you've done a wonderful, amazing job, and I know people are gonna get a lot out of this. I wanted to go and ask you a wrap-up question here, and that would be, what is there a connection to a person or a group that you can think of that really changed your life for you?
Oh, goodness. Honestly, I think it was a speaker I saw before I went to college, and his name was Shane Claiborne. And he's actually the reason I went to college. He did a lot of work with Mother Teresa. And he said something like, I wasn't going to go to college. I was like, this is a waste of my time. I don't know. I don't want to do anything like that. I'd rather go serve and be a missionary or something. And he had said something about you need to help yourself first before you can help others. And you can make such a bigger impact if you have the resources yourself first to be able to help others. And it was then when I just decided, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get an education so that I can do bigger work than what I think is possible. And today, I'm really grateful that I went to college and I have that experience. And I think it all shaped me into who I am today. And it's been pretty impactful. And the people I've met along the way. And my goodness, the amount of techs that I've worked with as a pharmacist and have poured into their life and they've poured into mine, and we're still friends. And I'm just so grateful that I made that decision way back when.
That's amazing. It's so cool when you can look at one moment and the waterfall effect from you take that one little piece of advice or you do that one little thing that someone suggests you do and how much it can change your life.
It's huge.
That's awesome. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have fun. I had fun.
I
This is a
did
fun
too.
episode for me.
I miss you, Hayden.
I miss you too. I know it's been like a month. It's way too long.
Going through withdrawal.
But guys, if you're listening still, I just want to give a message of gratitude to you. This has been, I say it over and over, this is one of the coolest things I get to do is just get to talk to the people that are close to my life that I love, that are doing some of the coolest things, and I get to have an hour of their time and share it with you. So I hope you really get some value out of this podcast. And if you do, the one thing I ask is you leave a 5-star review. It's like the easiest way you can help me keep this podcast going, get more people to listen to it. On Spotify, it's up top with the little stars, and on Apple Podcasts, you just scroll down to the bottom and leave 5 stars for Lauren and talk about how amazing she is. So that's all you have to do. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Hayden Invest. And you know how to spell my name. It's weird because it's on the picture that's right in front of your screen.
No one knows how to spell your name, by the way. No one spells your name right.
It's my mom's fault. She did it to me.
And I'm
But yeah, if you go follow at Hayden Invest, I post all my journey there. If you're in the Southeast region, this is something that's new that I haven't even talked about on the podcast, but I've started the Southeast Best Real Estate Meetup. It truly is. It's my favorite project, actually, not the podcast, but it's part of it. Come and meet me in person. It's worth the 2-hour drive. I promise. I pour my heart and soul into this meetup, and it's been life-changing for me, and I already just see it now. It's going to be life-changing for hundreds of people. So if you want to come to a free real estate meetup and eat Chick-fil-A, have valet parking, and look at some really cool cars while you're there in the venue, hear some really impactful speakers that are changing the lives of others, come out to Southeast Best Real Estate Meetup and hang out. So I'm going to shut up. And Lauren, thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
All right, bye guys. We'll catch you on the next episode.
I don't know how to